You're welcome back. Well, one of the major things that happened yesterday, obviously, was the MPC by the CBN, and we're staying around the CBN this time around. Want to see what the regulator is doing when it comes to expanding financial inclusion and digitalization through its CBDC. That's a central bank digital currency. We'll have joining us for that conversation here in the Lagos studio, Mr. Daniel Awe, the head Africa FinTech Foundry. That's him. That's Daniel.
Good morning, right?
And then we have Dr. Kalipa Nuhu.
Morning.
He's from the CBN. So if you have any CBN questions, please hold. He's the director of IT with the Central Bank of Nigeria. Good to have you both on the show this morning.
Good morning, Ini. Good to be here.
Good to have you. So let's start with you, Dr. Nuhu. Yesterday, even at the MPC decision announcement, the CBN governor, talked about the eNaira, encouraged people to go out there and embrace it, and even warned that the banks might be discouraging people. Please tell us, sitting there at the height of IT in CBN, how was the adoption and usage, not just the downloads,
yes,
but the adoption and usage of the eNaira? How has it been so far?
Okay, thank you for your question. And just a quick clarification, I'm not the director, I'm just representing the director.
Oh.
Director is Madam Rekia, so that's a quick correction. As for the adoption, it's been a long journey so far. You're aware the CBDC, that is eNaira, Central Bank Digital Currency, was launched last year, October 21st. And being the first CBDC in Africa, it has been a learning curve. It's been an extraordinary journey. We've seen a lot of upticks, we've seen a lot of challenges, and we are moving towards ways to improve the adoption. As it is, we're currently working on a relaunch of the eNaira wallets, both having mobile applications and the web wallets. In terms of challenges, like you've mentioned, they've been where you see people asking us, you've introduced eNaira, where can you spend this money? And it's not just about having a wallet. All this feedback has been taken. And we are doing a lot of work onboarding merchants. That is where people can go and spend this eNaira. We've redesigned the wallets. We've improved the technology to add more features. And like you've mentioned earlier, adoption is very important. And that's why we're here today with Daniel. We've collaborated with AFF to run a hackathon, which is a way of crowdsourcing ideas to solve societal and business problems. So that's one of the major things we've been up to in terms of adoption.
So Daniel, what are you doing for adoption?
All right. Good morning, Ini, and it's actually exciting to be here. And when you look at eNaira from a perspective of innovation, you know, it's been a lot of lack of understanding that people see eNaira as a currency that has to be spent, right? And the concept of eNaira, it's a platform that's meant to solve some problems. And from an adoption perspective, I lead the Africa FinTech Foundry, and what we are focused on is on innovation, solving problems. So we are working with central banks to create use cases to solve real-life problems where people will see the value of eNaira. So from my perspective, our role here is to work closely with central bank to create use cases, to bring in innovators. Nigerians are extremely innovative. I mean, from where I sit, when I hear ideas from people, it shows how intelligent Nigerians are. And so many people have asked questions that I can go on my mobile bank today and transfer money from one bank to the other. So what has eNaira come to do differently? Absolutely, the capability that eNaira will bring in the long run, the normal transfer on mobile app will not be possible. For example, you want to pay somebody in China. you can get on your mobile phone and pay the person directly in his account in China without even going through the banking sector. So those are the kind of capability that eNaira will bring eventually. So from our perspective, we are working with Central Bank to create those innovations, to bring in those use cases and solve problems that will make the entire financial sector see the opportunity of eNaira.
Okay, interesting, and I'm glad you did ask that question, because even when we've talked about it, a lot of people have asked that, what is eNaira really bringing to the table? Already we do transfers, we do e-transactions and all that. But I guess another area of interest to Nigerians would be the costs. If you say I can stay in Nigeria and transfer and make payment to someone in China, what does it cost me? That might be another area of advantage that the eNaira may be bringing to the table.
Yes, absolutely. The way we transact today, it's quite expensive when you look at the transaction in a global perspective. You want to send money from Nigeria to the US, to the UK, for cross-border transfer, to execute international trade. It's quite expensive. By the time we get to the maturity level of eNaira, it becomes cheaper, faster, more efficient, and you can break more boundaries. You can do things that today it's not possible based on the current fiat currency, which is the normal naira that you can spend on your mobile phone, you can spend in paper, you can spend on the internet banking and other existing channels. By the time we get to the maturity level of eNaira, there are some possibilities that you'll be able to experience just beyond payment, not only on payment. There are some, I can easily tell you that probably some limitations we have today. You do transaction today, it fails, a certain percentage of those transactions fails. When eNaira is fully matured, you can easily tell.
When will it be fully matured?
Well, if you look at it from this perspective, this is an evolving technology. It's a technology-driven payment, and it takes a bit of time. I remembered sometimes in 2003, if I'm not wrong, what we had in Nigeria was people called debit card. They used to call it ATM card. And the reason why they call it ATM card was because debit card could only work on ATM. There was no POS in Nigeria then. But if you look at today, POS is now something that if you don't have it in your business, you are not doing any business. I can tell you that with time, Nigeria is one of the first to introduce this globally, and the way technology is moving, I can tell you in another 1, 2, 3 years, there will be so many possibilities that eNaira will offer.
Okay, awesome. Let's go to Dr. Nuhu now. We see CBN, even at the retreats that preceded the MPC, or yes, by the committee, they talked about blockchain and that. And a lot of people are asking, the CBN seems to be unfriendly towards cryptocurrency and now seems to be embracing blockchains and CBDCs. Help us to clarify. What's the true picture?
Okay, yes, that's an interesting conversation, and it's also good to note cryptocurrency is not blockchain. So that's a general misconception. Blockchain is a technology on its own, and cryptocurrency is a form of currency that takes advantage of that technology. And if you look at what we've been doing with technology at the bank, CBN is open to innovation. And the way the world is changing, the global digital economy and the future of money itself, we can see a lot of factors pushing for changes. The growth of technology and also cross-border trade, as Daniel has mentioned. So the use of blockchain gives you the ability to harness this technology to improve people's lives, make trade and business easy, and also move people from the informal sector of the economy to the formal sector of the economy. And that has its own advantages. You can increase remittance of taxes. You can get data, like you mentioned, big data and all technologies from these type of platforms that help you make decisions, data-driven decisions for SMEs, for different businesses. And just as you've mentioned in the meeting yesterday, the decisions were made based on data. So this is the technology the CBN has embraced. And beyond embracing, it's actually encouraging this technology. Because a key factor here is our partnering with AFF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about this hackathon and the prizes that you have for winners.
Okay, so a hackathon is an event that brings about innovators together to solve societal problems, business problems, and you have different type of hackathons. You have open hackathons, closed hackathons, and what we're doing with AFF is to leave it open. We've identified some key areas where problems, we need solution to problems, but we'll also let it open so that people can innovate.
What are some of those areas? It's interesting to know.
Yes, some of these areas have to do with financial inclusion, international remittances, cross-border trade, and also disbursement of welfare by the government, just like all these social investment programs. These are a few of many. And we've also let it open so that these innovators can also give us ideas from the crowd. In terms of prizes, the first prize will get 5 million eNaira, second prize 3 million eNaira, third prize 2 million eNaira, and the next 10 people will get 1 million eNaira each.
Interesting. So, AFF, tell us what's your role and how you are bringing this to the people.
Okay, thank you. I think I will buttress more a little bit about Dr. News. So let me speak about how AFF is bringing this into reality. From the original key pillars of AFF, it's an organization designed to work with innovators, identify startups, accelerate them into a commercially viable businesses. And when you look at the economic outlook in terms of startups in Nigeria, there seems to be some diversity between the way they see the regulators. I mean, and unfortunately, you need regulators to keep the balance on track. So the role of AFF here is to bring in the startups, bring in the innovators, bring the regulators. We all sit down together, create innovative products, create solutions that will solve critical problems, and the post, beyond giving the 5 million, 2 million, 1 million, the post-hackathon is how we are now going to work with them from their ideation, innovation to become a global business. And if you look at, when we talk about the likes of the United States today, one thing that is going on well for this kind of country is that they have a structured startup bill. The Googles of this world, the Facebook of this world, the Amazon, the Microsoft, these are businesses that came from people's idea and have gained so much value that is even bigger than the entire GDP of Africa. When you look at Google's revenue in 2019, it's about $169 billion, which is more than what we earn in terms of oil. So one of the things we are looking at is how do we see these startups increasing, contributing a very big chunk to the GDP of our country? How can they, how can they bring in solutions that will improve employment, and how can they solve problems? And you know, a lot of us have asked so many questions that where are our forefathers in the first and second industrial revolution? So we don't want our next generation to ask this question, that where were we when in the fourth industrial revolution?
But how do people participate in all of this?
Well, the portal has been open for like
is it a website? Do you have a website? Do you have a phone number?
Yeah, there is a website that is open, is affcbnac.com.
Do you spell the
H-A-C-K.
H-A-C-A-K.
H-A-C-K, yeah.
Okay, so affcbnac.com. That's how people can get more information.
Absolutely.
And participate in this.
Absolutely. We've received over 3,000 applications, which is huge, and we are still sorting the applications. And if you see the ideas that people are bringing up, it shows that when you give opportunity to these startups, these Nigerians, they have interesting ideas. And if you're able to bring in 10 viable businesses out of this year, imagine if we do this every year, what this will contribute into the GDP.
And imagine the unemployment that will be mopped out of,
absolutely.
That space. Thank you so much. Daniel, our head, Africa FinTech Foundry, and of course, Dr. Nuhu Khalifa, an officer with the IT department of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and we do wish you the very best, and of course, wish the startups who are going to participate the very best.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, Ini. Good to be here.
Good to have you. So we'll take a break now. We do have our plates very full. Today, we have AFEX standing by, commodities market. That's next after the break. This is Business Morning on Channels Television.